The instructor's voice cracked through Lena's helmet, sharp and frustrated. "Stop flying like you're trying to get yourself killed, Lena." At 24 years old, just 6 months into advanced fighter training, Lena already had a reputation. Not for discipline, not for being by the book like the others, but for pushing her F-16 Fighting Falcon harder than anyone dared. Too aggressive, too reckless, too unpredictable. What no one at Nellis Air Force Base knew was that Lena had been preparing for aerial combat long before she ever sat in a cockpit. Since childhood, she had devoured every account of air battles, studied maneuvers until she could see them with her eyes closed, and learned a philosophy of combat from her late father, a Gulf War ace who always said, "The pilot who plays safe is the pilot who dies first." But her instructors thought she was just hot-headed, a risk, a liability, someone who might burn out before she even finished training. That morning was supposed to be routine, clear Nevada skies, a simple training sortie. She was flying wingman to Captain Hayes, a veteran with combat tours under her belt, and a strict, by-the-book mentality. Before takeoff, Hayes had made the rules crystal clear. "We follow the intercept profile exactly. No improvising, no stunts. Stick to the script." Lena nodded, outwardly obedient, but deep inside she was already running the math. Angles, closure rates, maneuvers that weren't in any training manual. She wasn't flying to pass another evaluation. She was flying like she had been born for the day real enemies showed up. And then, they did. The first sign was on Lena's radar warning receiver. Multiple fast-moving contacts, too many, too close, and nothing like the friendly signatures of American aircraft. She counted once, then again, her chest tightening. 20 hostile contacts inbound. "Hayes, do you see this?" Lena's Viet. Ice was steady, but her pulse spiked. A pause. Then Hayes's tone shifted from casual to clipped military urgency. "I confirm. Multiple unknowns, 20 at least. Bearing 010, range 40 miles, and they're closing fast." Nellis Control came alive on the emergency frequency. "Viper 2-1, multiple unknown aircraft have violated restricted airspace. You are cleared to investigate. Do not engage unless fired upon." But as the two F-16s turned north, the truth hit hard. Through her heads-up display, Lena saw them clearly now. The unmistakable silhouettes of MiG-29 Fulcrums. This wasn't training anymore. Hayes's voice was tight. "Nellis, this is Viper 2-1. We have positive ID on 20 MiG-29s in hostile formation. Request immediate backup and rules of engagement." The reply sent a chill straight down Lena's spine. "All available aircraft are scrambling, but nearest support is 15 minutes out. Engage only if fired upon." 15 minutes. Against 20 MiGs. One of the enemy jets broke formation, locked radar on Hayes, and fired. Her cockpit filled with the warning tone of a missile inbound. Hayes cursed, braking hard left. Lena didn't think. She couldn't. Training would have told her to disengage, to evade, to wait for help. But instinct and everything her father had drilled into her screamed otherwise. She yanked the stick, pulling 7 brutal Gs, and swung behind the attacking MiG in a maneuver no trainee should have even attempted. Her thumb hit the trigger. "Fox 2. The Sidewinder missile streaked away, locked on perfectly, and a heartbeat later the MiG exploded in a fireball that lit the desert sky. Her first kill. Hayes's voice cut through the comms, a mix of disbelief and panic. "What the hell was that, Lena? How?" "No time," Lena shot back. Her eyes tracked 2 more MiGs swinging onto Hayes's tail. "You've got 2 on your 6. Break left! Dive now!" The battle for survival had begun. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to subscribe. We bring you powerful, true-to-life military stories every single day. Now, let's get back to Lena's fight for survival. 2 MiGs screamed onto Hayes's tail, spitting radar locks that lit up her cockpit. Lena didn't hesitate. She rolled inverted, snapped her F-16 through a punishing scissors maneuver, and came out behind the trailing MiG. Her missile tone buzzed. She fired. "Fox 2! The Sidewinder streaked ahead, slamming into the enemy jet's engine. The Fulcrum tore apart midair, debris scattering across the blue Nevada sky. 2 kills. Hayes dove low, trying to shake the second MiG. Lena followed hard, her body crushed under G-forces that would have blacked out most trainees. The MiG pilot was skilled, twisting and rolling with lethal precision. But Lena wasn't flying by the book. She was flying the way her father had taught her, committed, ruthless, unrelenting. She forced the MiG into a vertical climb it couldn't sustain. At the top of the maneuver, the jet stalled for a fraction of a second. That was all Lena needed. She squeezed the trigger, her 20mm Vulcan cannon roaring. Tracers stitched across the MiG's fuselage, shredding metal. The jet spun helplessly downward, trailing black smoke before erupting into flames. 3 down, 17 left. Hayes' voice cracked through the comms. "Scott! No, Lena, what are you doing? That was impossible. No time to explain. They're closing in. Break south." But Lena wasn't running. She flipped her master arm switch, selected her long-range AIM-120s, and turned straight into the largest cluster of MiGs. The ground controller's voice barked in her ear. "Viper 2-1, disengage. Reinforcements are 8 minutes out. Repeat, disengage." Negative. There was no time. If they waited, Hayes would be dead. Lena thumbed her release. 2 AMRAAMs streaked off, the rails trailing fire. Both found targets. 2 MiGs bloomed into fireballs. 5 down, 15 to go. Hayes screamed over the radio, panic breaking through her discipline. "Lena, this is suicide. You can't take them all." Lena's voice cut like steel. "Hayes, dive south at full throttle. I'll keep them busy. Trust me." "What? No. Go!" There was no more hesitation. Hayes peeled away, 3 MiGs chasing her toward the desert floor. That left Lena alone, climbing straight at 8 Fulcrums, forming up for a coordinated strike. Every fiber of her body told her to retreat, but her father's words echoed in her head. The pilot who commits completely is the one who wins. She flew head-on into the swarm. Her Sidewinder shrieked away, slamming into the lead MiG. Explosion. She broke upward into a vertical climb, scattering the formation. Chaos. Pilots broke in every direction. Lena inverted, dove, and unleashed her last Sidewinder into a MiG banking too slowly. Another kill. 7 down. But now she was out of missiles. Only her cannon remained. 500 rounds of 20mm shells against 14 enemy jets. Her radio crackled. "Viper 2-1, say status." She gritted her teeth. "Winchester missiles. Guns only. Engaged with multiple bandits. 15 minutes of fuel left." The reply was grim. "Nearest support still 6 minutes out. Can you disengage?" Lena's eyes swept the sky. Fulcrums everywhere, bracketing her, hungry to finish her off. Hayes was low and running, dragging 3 MiGs south, but Lena had the rest to herself. Her answer was cold, steady. Negative, engaged decisively. Tell the cavalry to hurry. And with that, she dove into a storm no trainee should have survived. The Nevada desert blurred beneath Lena as she dove, then pulled hard into a climbing spiral. Her F-16 groaned, the frame screaming under stress, but she kept pushing. The Fulcrum swarmed like a hive of hornets, chasing, firing, trying to box her in. She had no missiles left, only her 20mm cannon, and her will to outfly them all. The first MiG came in high, trying to lock her from above. Lena pulled vertical, rolled, and snapped into his blind spot. Her fingers squeezed the trigger. The Vulcan spat fire, stitching glowing tracers into the MiG's wing. The jet snapped sideways, spun, and plunged into the ground in a blossom of flame. 8 down. Another Fulcrum dove at her head-on, cannons blazing. She didn't flinch. She rolled inverted, pulled into him, and for a split second their cockpits passed so close she swore she saw the pilot's eyes. She fired in that heartbeat, and the MiG tore apart midair. 9 down. Her breath came ragged, sweat stinging her eyes. Warning lights blinked across her cockpit. Fuel low, ammo dwindling. She ignored them. She had no luxury of caution. The remaining fulcrums regrouped. 7 jets converged, missiles streaking in from every angle. Lena's radar warning receiver screamed in her ears. No time to dodge them all. She did the unthinkable. She pulled straight vertical. The G's crushed her chest, vision tunneling, the desert spinning into nothing but a blur. The missiles tried to follow but lost lock in the thin air. At 40,000 feet, her jet was practically hanging on engine thrust alone. Any mistake, and she'd stall out and die. Instead, she rolled inverted and dove like a predator back into the chaos. Her cannon roared, bullets slashing across a MiG's fuselage. It shattered in fire. 10 kills. She broke hard right, narrowly evading another missile, then cut across the formation. The sun flared behind her, blinding the enemy, pilots. She used the glare, diving under one fulcrum, then yanking up behind him. A 2-second burst. His jet disintegrated. 11. But she could feel it. Her ammo was nearly gone. Maybe 20 rounds left. Her fuel gauge dipped red. The F-16 wasn't built for this kind of prolonged slaughter. Yet Lena pressed harder. The last burst of rounds walked across another MiG's wing. Fire trailed, the jet peeled off, and seconds later it smashed into the desert. 12 kills. Her cannon clicked empty, out of ammo, outnumbered, and still she didn't retreat. The MiGs circled, cautious now. They had lost too many to a pilot they thought was a rookie. Fear rippled through their formation. And then, just as Lena braced for the end, a new voice cut through her comms. Viper 2-1, this is Ranger Flight. 4 Raptors inbound. We have you visual. Relief nearly broke her. She exhaled once, sharp and steady, before keying her mic. Ranger Flight, Viper 2-1. I'm Winchester, low fuel, 12 confirmed kills. 6 enemy aircraft remain. They're breaking north. There was a pause. Then, did you say 12 confirmed? Affirmative. The Raptors swept past, engines roaring like thunder. Within minutes, the remaining MiGs were running for their lives, chased down and destroyed. The desert sky went quiet. Smoke trails and wreckage marked where an entire enemy squadron had thought they could breach American airspace. And been wrong. When Lena's F-16 finally touched down at Nellis, her hands were trembling, not from fear, but from the adrenaline still coursing through her veins. Her jet was nearly empty. No missiles, no bullets, barely enough fuel to land. She had gone up a trainee and come back an ace. The debriefing room was packed with generals, analysts, and combat veterans. Every screen replayed gun camera footage, radar logs, and telemetry data. Lena sat straight-backed, helmet resting at her side, her flight suit still damp with sweat. General Morrison, the commander of Air Combat Command, leaned forward, eyes narrowed. Lieutenant Lena, we've confirmed your records. 12 enemy aircraft destroyed. Alone. With 6 months of training. Lena stayed silent. The general's voice hardened. Your training reports call you reckless, undisciplined. Yet today, you achieved what no American pilot has done since World War II. Explain it. How? For a moment, Lena thought about lying, about saying it was luck or desperation. But she remembered her father's words, and she spoke the truth. My father was a fighter ace. He started teaching me aerial combat when I was 8. By the time I joined the Air Force, I had studied every major engagement in history. I've been holding back in training, waiting for the day it mattered. Today it did. The room was silent. Finally, the general spoke. You understand what you've done will be studied for decades. What you accomplished was impossible. Lena met her eyes. Ma'am, it was necessary. The general's sternness cracked into the faintest smile. You've got a choice. Return to training. Or accept immediate transfer to a classified squadron, the kind of missions that require pilots like you. Lena didn't hesitate. Where do I sign? 3 months later, her F-16 was replaced by an F-22 Raptor, outfitted with technology so advanced, even her closest friends believed she was still in training. In combat zones no one could talk about, enemies gave her a name, the Phantom. Because once she appeared in the skies, No one who opposed her ever returned. But to those who knew her best, Lena was simply the ace. One evening, she received a letter from Captain Hayes, her old flight lead. "Lena, that day changed everything for me. You saved my life. More than that, you showed me what it means to stop holding back. I fly differently now, not reckless, but fully committed. You taught me that. Thank you." Lena folded the letter, her eyes drifting to the runway outside her window, where aircraft she couldn't even name waited for missions she couldn't describe. She thought of her father, of his lessons, and of the moment she had finally stopped hiding what she was capable of. He had been right all along. Air superiority wasn't won by pilots who followed the book. It was won by those who committed completely when the sky turned hostile. And on that day over Nevada, Lena had committed and written herself into history. If you've been gripped by Lena's story, hit subscribe now. More real, raw military legends are coming, and you don't want to miss the next one.